Welcome back to Technology. In this video, we're going to dive into a different language, Sway language. We're going to be working with Fuel Labs smart contract, and we're going to build a sample contract. So using completely their documentation, you're going to need Rust initially, as well as Fuel Network with the curl, and just install it regularly. Next, you want to use Fuel Up-S version. We're using VS Code, and you probably are too. So you want to go with that extension and install Sway by Fuel Labs. Or Fuel Labs. And after that, we're going to do Fuel Up self-update. Next, let's do Fuel Up show. Just so that we can see any of the tool chains. We want to go with the latest version. Next is we're going to create our local wallet. So you're going to use fork wallet new. You're going to get that mnemonic. Just save it somewhere. Also create a password. Next, let's look at the accounts. So here we get our wallet address by doing fork wallet account. And like I mentioned before, we're going to default to the latest fuel version. Next, let's get into our project. So we're going to create a project called make directory fuel project, and we're going to get in it. And looking in it, we have our source and our toml. And this is the breakdown of the contract. So all contracts start with a contract calling. Next, we're going to create a storage value. Let's just delete the initial contract that we have. Next is the ABI. The ABI is very important. It stands for Application Binary Interface, and it delivers interface for a contract. And here we go. We are just going to define our ABI as my contract and just have our test function in there calling a boolean. And there's different ways to implement the ABI. So think of the ABI as the playbook for our functions in our smart contract. So we're just going to copy and paste the template contract from Fuel Labs documentation. And we see our tree there. And going into our code editor, we're just going to replace the code. And what we have is a counter as well as a storage function. So we get that storage function where we're just going to have a U64 value, and we're just going to set it equal to 0. We have two functions in our ABI, one called increment, and the other one is just to get the count. And while you're reading through the documentation, make sure to hit that subscribe button, as well as check out Fuel Labs documentation, their Discord channel, as well as their Telegram. Also look at their Twitter to see any updates from Fuel Labs. And just check out the great things that are being done on the Fuel Network. This is a great project in Web3, especially in the Ethereum ecosystem. And we're going to copy and paste the code in there that we see in the documentation. We have our ABI and our function for counter, as well as our increment function. So now that we have our contract written, let's build it by using the fork build command. Obviously, we want to CD into our project. That's why we get the error that we see. Once we get into our project, then we'll run fork build. Get into our contract. Once we run fork build, that will take some time. And I'll see you on the other side. And now that our contract has been built, next we're going to install this Rust integration so that we can test our smart contract. And our contract has been built. We're going to install that tester and then test our smart contract. Because this is a template, we know that our smart contract is totally fine, but those are the tools that we are going to utilize. Make sure to hit that subscribe button and check out Fuel Labs. The documentation will be in the description, as well as some of their links.